This presentation will provide information on the financial aid process, from understanding the different types of financial aid and how to apply, why you should apply, and how the financial aid results are used by colleges and scholarships. The presentation will also discuss the important scholarship process and timeline. A PDF of this video with each individual slide is posted on the Venice High School website. Click on Resources and look under Downloads. I'm Caitlin Joyner, the Director of the Rotary Futures College Resource Center at Venice High School. Heather Masden works with me to assist students with their post-secondary planning. We know the financial aid and scholarship process can be confusing and a little intimidating for first-time in-college students and their families. We hope you will find this presentation helpful. After viewing the presentation, please feel free to contact us with any questions you may have. What is financial aid? Financial aid can be divided into two categories. The first is gift aid, which is free money or aid that does not need to be paid back. This gift aid can be broken down into two categories: grants which are based on financial need, and scholarships which are merit-based or based on your talent, such as academic, visual or performing arts, or athletic scholarships. The second type is self-help aid, and that refers to loans, which can be need and non-need based. Students with high financial need may be offered loans with lower interest, or interest may be deferred. Another form of self-help financial aid is work study. Work study is an employment opportunity offered by the college or university. Through a work study job, students will earn money to help pay for expenses such as books or personal items. Federal work study is need-based and offered to students based on the results of the financial aid application. Financial aid comes from a variety of sources. The federal government awards financial aid in the form of Pell Grants, federal student and parent loans, and work study. The state of Florida awards financial aid too. This includes the Florida Bright Future Scholarship and the EASE grant awarded to Florida residents attending a private college in Florida. There are other state grant programs too. Institutional financial aid is awarded directly by the college or university and includes merit scholarships and need-based grants. And finally, there are outside or private sources of financial aid, which include scholarships and private loans. There are several financial aid applications. The most common application, and the one we encourage all of our seniors to complete, is the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The FAFSA is the only financial aid application used by Florida public colleges and universities. The FAFSA may only be completed by U.S. citizens and U.S. permanent residents, which is also known as a green card. The CSS Profile is a financial aid application created by the College Board, and it is used by many private and elite public colleges and universities in addition to completing the FAFSA. The CSS Profile is very involved and requires much more information than the FAFSA, so it is important for students to start on this application early, but only if they are applying to a college that requires the CSS Profile. There is only one school in Florida that requires the CSS Profile, the University of Miami. Some elite colleges and universities have their own financial aid application. Please check each college's website to understand what financial aid application is required. Finally, the Florida Financial Aid Application, or the FFAA, is required for any student to receive the Florida Bright Futures Scholarship and other state grants. The FFAA is very simple and does not ask for any financial information. Only seniors will complete this application after October 1st of their senior year. The FAFSA is every student's first step in applying for financial aid. By completing the FAFSA, you'll be applying for most types of federal and state financial aid. Colleges and universities use the FAFSA to determine a student's eligibility for state grants. Students and families should complete the FAFSA as soon as possible after the application opens on October 1st. At Venice High, we will be hosting a FAFSA Help Night on Thursday, October 28th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. You will be able to get assistance from accountants and other experts so that you can successfully complete the FAFSA. Many parents ask, why should we complete the FAFSA? My student won't qualify for federal aid. The reality is, most students will not qualify for a federal Pell Grant, but the result of the FAFSA may make them eligible for other institutional grants. Completing the FAFSA qualifies students for low-interest federal loans, and parents may qualify for federal parent loans. Also, the FAFSA results may be surprising. Many factors go into the FAFSA result. For example, having more than one child in college at the same time has a big impact on the FAFSA result. Colleges and universities offer student loans as part of the financial aid award. Students and families don't necessarily want to consider loans, but it is important to understand that loans will probably be included in most financial aid awards. When a student completes the FAFSA, they automatically qualify for low-interest federal direct loans. The current interest rate for these loans is 3.73%, and this interest rate can change from year to year. Repayment of these loans starts 6 months after a student graduates or after they stop being a full-time student. A FAFSA Steps flyer is also posted on the VHS website. Click on Resources and look under Downloads. The FSA ID is the first step in completing the FAFSA. Both the student and one parent must create separate FSA IDs. The FSA ID allows the student and the parent to sign the FAFSA electronically. It can also be used to sign student loan applications and access financial aid information. Students must have a Social Security number to create an FSA ID and to complete the FAFSA. Parents without Social Security numbers will not be able to get an FSA ID. They'll have to print a signature page and mail it to Federal Student Aid, the FSA, to complete the FAFSA application. This option is presented at the end of the FAFSA. Students and parents should plan to create their FSA ID prior to starting the FAFSA application. This will make it easier to complete the FAFSA. Go to fsaid.ed.gov to start the process. As I mentioned, the student and one parent must create their own FSA ID, and you must use different email addresses and mobile phone numbers when setting up your FSA IDs. It will take about 10 to 15 minutes to create your FSA ID. This can be done at Rotary Futures as well. When you are creating your FSA ID, be sure to use an email address you can easily access, as you will have to verify your email address. You will complete the FAFSA each year you are in college, so you will use your FSA IDs each year. Use an email address you'll have access to after high school. Don't use your high school or college issued email address, since you may eventually lose access to the account. Please select Show Text so you can see what you are typing. Remember, your information is matched to the Social Security Administration, so it is very important that you are entering your name exactly as it appears on your Social Security card. Also, make sure you are entering your birth date accurately, too. Any discrepancy will cause an error and hold up the processing of your FAFSA. Even though it may take 1 to 3 days for the FSA ID to process and match the Social Security Administration records, students may go ahead and complete and submit their FAFSA application with the FSA ID they just created. If there is a problem verifying the information provided when creating the FSA ID, the student and/or parent will be notified by email, and the FAFSA will not be processed until the situation has been cleared. Now you are ready to start the FAFSA. Here is a screenshot of the FAFSA.gov webpage. Make sure you are going to the website that ends in .gov. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, so you should never pay to complete the FAFSA. Any site that requires payment to complete the application is not the correct site. The 2022-2023 FAFSA opens on October 1st. This is the financial aid application for the 2022-2023 school year, which will be the college freshman year for this year's senior class students. High school seniors should complete the FAFSA after October 1st. Starting the FAFSA is simple. Go to FAFSA.gov and click Start Here. There are two ways to log in. If you, the student, have created your FSA ID, select I am the student and log in with your FSA ID and password. The parent can log in without the student's FSA ID to enter their portion of the FAFSA. We recommend the student start the FAFSA and complete their portion, which they can do in Rotary Futures, and then the parent can continue and complete the parent information. Here are some FAFSA tips. Remember, this is the student's FAFSA. The student is the one applying for financial aid. The FAFSA will ask for both the student and parent information, and the sections are identified at the top of the page. Make sure you are answering the questions appropriately. Make sure you select the FAFSA for the 2022-2023 year. For current high school seniors, this will be their first year of college beginning next fall of 2022. It is important to complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA to meet college financial aid deadlines. There is a possibility that a student may have to complete the 2021-2022 FAFSA if they start college next summer, which would mean they will complete 2 FAFSAs. But right now, The priority is to complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA first to meet college financial aid deadlines, then complete the 2021-2022 FAFSA if you decide to go to college next summer. The 2022-2023 FAFSA will be required for many scholarships, so this is another reason to complete the FAFSA first. Another part of the FAFSA that creates some confusion is the save key. When you start a FAFSA, the student is required to create a save key. The save key is a temporary password that you will create so that you can save the FAFSA and then go back to the FAFSA to enter information and complete the FAFSA. The save key can only be 4 to 8 characters long. Tooltips are the question mark icons beside each question that provides more information about how to answer the question. These are very helpful, so please take advantage of the tooltips as you are completing your FAFSA. As male students start the FAFSA, they will be asked about Selective Service Registration. Selective Service is the system in the United States used to draft young people into the armed services. The draft was eliminated in 1973, but 18-year-old males are still required to register with the Selective Service, and the federal government requires Selective Service registration to receive financial aid. There are some exceptions to this requirement. Review the Selective Service website for details. Please note, not registering with the Selective Service before the age of 26 could limit your ability to get jobs in the federal government, and not registering could keep you from getting federal aid after the age of 26. When completing the FAFSA, male students are given the opportunity to easily register with the Selective Service. If the student is not yet 18, they can leave this question blank. Just remember, you will need to register directly with the Selective Service system within 30 days of your 18th birthday. For federal financial aid purposes, most students will be considered dependent students until they are 24 years old. This is based on the concept that it is yours and your parents' responsibility to pay for your education. The FAFSA will ask several questions to determine if you are a dependent or independent student. If you are able to answer yes to any of the dependency questions, you will be considered independent for financial aid purposes. Most of our independent students are able to answer yes to one of the questions listed here. Most of the questions refer to whether the student is a court-ordered legal guardianship or are a ward of the court, or if you are homeless or an unaccompanied youth as determined by the school district liaison. Documentation of your independent status will be required by the college before financial aid will be awarded. The IRS data retrieval tool is part of the FAFSA process. It allows students and parents who filed a U.S. tax return to access the IRS tax return information needed to complete the FAFSA. If you're eligible to use the IRS data retrieval tool, we highly recommend that you do so for several reasons. It's the easiest way to provide your tax return information. It's the best way of ensuring that your FAFSA has the correct information. You won't need to provide your tax return to your colleges. Again, remember, this is the student's FAFSA. The FAFSA asks for student income and investments, as well as parent income and investments. Be careful not to duplicate information. We see this mistake every year where the parent income is listed for both the student and for the parent. When you are filling in the investments and business information, use the tooltips for more information. The tooltips will explain that in the net worth of investment section, you do not list the net value of the home in which you live. You do not include cash, checking, or savings in this area because it is listed in another section. Do not include retirement accounts like 401k plans, IRAs, etc. Also, for small business owners, if you own 50% or more of a business, you do not list the value of the business if it has fewer than 100 employees. Read the tooltips to find out much more information on the government's studentaid.gov website. Don't forget to list every school you are considering. This is a common error. Students decide to apply to a college a month or two after the FAFSA has been completed, and they do not add the college to their FAFSA. It is very important to list every college because only colleges listed will get your FAFSA information. You may add additional colleges at any time to your FAFSA. Don't delay, or you could miss important college financial aid deadlines for a specific school. The website studentaid.gov has a lot of information, and this is our go-to website when we have questions as well. Remember, we are here to help VHS seniors and families with this process. We can help you complete your portion of the FAFSA. Then, students can go home and work with their parent to complete the FAFSA. Review your FAFSA answers and make any necessary changes. Changes can be made later if needed. The student and parent will enter their FSA ID information to electronically sign their FAFSA application. Don't forget to hit Submit My FAFSA Now when you're done. After you hit Submit My FAFSA Now, you'll receive a confirmation page. You will see an estimate of your eligibility for the Pell Grant and federal student loans. You will also see an estimate of your expected family contribution, also known as your EFC. The estimates typically do not change, but the college financial aid offices make the final determination and notification of eligibility. The FAFSA results are also emailed almost immediately to the student. The email will show the student's eligibility for the Pell Grant or for federal direct loans. Also, the email will show the important expected family contribution number. After 2 to 3 days, students will also be able to log back into the FAFSA to view their student aid report, also known as their SAR. The student aid report is required for many scholarships. The expected family contribution, or EFC, is calculated from the information provided on the FAFSA. Families are evaluated by their 2020 financial situation. The government's position is that parents are responsible for helping to pay for their child's education. The expected family contribution is based on the parent's ability to pay, not on their willingness to pay. How is the EFC calculated? The formula is very involved, and the 29-page formula can be found online at the website listed here. The expected family contribution is made up of 2 parts, the student and the parent's information. For both the student and the parents, the FAFSA considers their income, assets, number in the household, number in college, and even the age of the parents. Remember, the EFC is constant. The number does not change between schools. So you have completed the FAFSA. What comes next? The FAFSA results are sent to each school that a student listed on their FAFSA application. One of the most common mistakes is students not listing all of the schools where they are applying. Colleges do not get the FAFSA information if you do not list their college on the FAFSA. After you have been accepted to college, they will award students a financial aid package or financial aid award. Sometimes the financial aid awards are mailed, but most times this information is online in the student's college portal or college account. Additional information and forms may be required by the college in order to receive financial aid. Make sure you pay attention to your email and to your online college account. Often, this shows up in your college account in the financial aid section as missing requirements. FAFSA verification is a process where the government identifies certain students to go through a verification process. About 30% of all FAFSA applicants are chosen for verification. The college is required to verify the information on your FAFSA. If you are chosen for verification, then every college where you applied will be required to verify your information. As part of the verification process, students may be required to submit paper or online forms to the college. Completion of the verification process is required before any financial aid is awarded to the student. Please pay attention to your email and to your online college account, as this is where you will find the verification requirements. There are other financial aid programs that rely on the FAFSA results. The federal government awards grants and loans based on the results. The state has grant programs based on a student's FAFSA result. The college may award their own grants based on the FAFSA, and most private scholarship applications require a completed FAFSA. How is my financial need determined? The formula to determine financial need is basically this. It is the cost of attendance for 1 year minus the expected family contribution. This equals a student's financial need. The cost of attendance can be found on all college websites. Search for cost of attendance. It can be broken into direct or hard costs. This is the bill you will receive from the college for tuition, dorm room, and meal plans. The indirect or soft costs are the extra expenses that you will have for things like books and supplies, transportation costs, cell phone and computer, and miscellaneous personal costs. All of these things totaled together will equal the cost of attendance. The examples on the screen show how financial need is calculated and how it will vary from college to college based on the cost of attendance. Remember, your EFC will be the same at each college, but your cost of attendance will be different. As a result, your financial need will not be the same at every college. For example, your financial need at State College of Florida is much less than it would be at a four-year college or university because you will be living at home and the tuition is much less. The same goes for the cost of a Florida public university compared to a private college or university. Tuition is much greater at a private college or university, so your financial need will be greater. Many colleges do not cover a student's financial need, and this slide shows the gap students may have. For example, the University of Florida may award you $14,000 in financial aid, but you will still need to cover a gap of about $4,000 plus the $3,000 expected family contribution, or EFC. At a more expensive college like the University of Miami, your gap may be even greater depending on the financial aid award. In this example, the student was awarded $35,500 in financial aid, leaving a $20,000 gap. Remember, the University of Miami is expecting the parents to provide the EFC as well, which would be a total of $35,000 that the student would be expected to come up with for a single school year. Here is an example of what a financial aid award letter may look like. Remember, this probably will be posted on your college account. It shows the cost of attendance and the financial aid awarded, including loans. If you have any questions about your financial aid award, we are happy to review it with you. Many families may have experienced an income change since 2021. You will still complete the FAFSA with the 2020 tax return information. Then you will contact the financial aid office at each college to determine the process of asking for an evaluation of your changed circumstances. You will need to submit documentation to support the changed circumstances. Each college will have their own process, so reach out to them early to understand the requirements. What if the financial aid is not enough? How do you fill the gap? There are parent loans offered by the federal government, private loans from banks and family members, or you may be able to get a cosigner. Another way to close the gap is by private scholarships. Most scholarships are based on a student's merit and on their financial need. And finally, you may want to choose Plan B, or the college that has a lower cost of attendance or a better financial aid award package. Let's talk about scholarships and why completing the FAFSA is so important to the scholarship process. Most private scholarships are merit-based and need-based, which means scholarship organizations want to give their scholarship to a good student who really needs the financial assistance. Scholarship organizations use the same formula as colleges to determine a student's financial need. The college's cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution will equal a student's financial need. It is important to understand that even though you may not qualify to receive a federal Pell Grant, the FAFSA expected family contribution number may help show financial need for scholarship purposes. Here is an example of a student's financial need. This student's EFC, or expected family contribution, is $13,000, which is too high to get a federal Pell Grant. But in this scenario, the FAFSA will still show scholarship organizations that you have financial need, or a gap of $8,000. Showing the gap or financial need is why completing the FAFSA is so important for scholarship purposes. Rotary Futures has a scholarship database program called the SSMS, which has information for about 300 scholarships. Venice High School seniors are able to use this tool to search for scholarships. The process takes about 1.5 hours to complete, but students do not need to complete the search all at once. They can save their work and return later to finish the process. Most scholarships, especially the many local opportunities, are not due until after the first of the year, so seniors have time to complete the scholarship search. Keep in mind that scholarship applications can be time-consuming, so it is important to get organized. Are you ready to get started? What will you need to apply for scholarships? Most scholarships ask for the same information: a resume, letters of recommendation, transcript, and essays. A resume for scholarship purposes is typically 1 page to 1.5 pages, summarizing the student's high school academic achievements, extracurricular activities, employment, and community service. The resume is an opportunity for students to sell themselves and highlight their school and community involvement. A sample is available in Rotary Futures, and we would be happy to email you a copy as well. Many scholarships require at least 1 letter of recommendation, and some may require 2. We suggest you get 3 letters of recommendation, 2 academic from teachers or guidance counselors, and at least 1 from a community member, which could be a job supervisor, a community service organization, a coach, a club sponsor, etc. You will use these letters over and over, providing copies of the letters with your scholarship applications. Letters of recommendation can take lots of time to prepare. Please be courteous when asking for letters of recommendation. Also, make sure you are asking someone who likes you. This may seem obvious, but I have heard from many teachers who have been asked to write letters by students who were late every day or did very poorly in their class. You will get a better letter from a teacher you have a good relationship with. Some teachers or counselors may ask for your resume or may have other requirements before they give out letters of recommendation, so have your resume ready when you ask. Some scholarships will require an official transcript in a sealed envelope, and others will require a copy of the official transcript. It will take 2 to 3 days to get official transcripts in sealed envelopes. We suggest you keep 1 official transcript and make copies and to scan for online scholarships. Students will often ask if they will have to write essays for scholarships. Yes, there will be essays, but most scholarships ask for the same kind of information. Students will typically write a college and career goals essay and explain why they have chosen their major or career path. Students will write a financial need statement or an essay about why they need a scholarship. This essay is important because it is an opportunity to explain any personal situations, for example, having a single parent, family medical bills, job loss, siblings in college, etc. Once you write these essays, you will use them over and over. We are happy to review these essays and make suggestions too. Be careful of deadline dates. As the sign says, due dates are closer than they appear. It is important to get prepared so that you will have all the required items to apply for scholarships. As I mentioned, most scholarship deadlines will be due after the first of the year, especially the many local scholarship opportunities. There are a couple that we would like to mention that will be due in the fall or that you will need to start working on before winter break. The VFW Voice of Democracy essay contest is available and is due October 31st. Our local VFW has supported this scholarship contest for many years. The Florida PEO scholarship application is for girls with financial need, and it will be due in November. In January, the Florida Elks C. Valentine Bates Memorial Hope Scholarship is due. This is only for students with a 2.3 to 3.3 unweighted GPA. Last year, we had 5 students receive $5,000 to $7,500 each. Also, in January, the Oaks Women's Club Scholarship is due, and they award several scholarships to girls with financial need. The Exchange Scholarship is due at the end of January, and they award many scholarships to students planning to major in visual or performing arts. Probably the most important scholarship application for Sarasota County students is the Community Foundation of Sarasota County Scholarship, which will be due in February. This foundation awards more scholarships than any other organization in Sarasota County. Last year, they awarded over $300,000 just to Venice High School seniors. The Gulf Coast Community Foundation awards scholarships to area students too. Last year, $75,000 was awarded to VHS seniors alone. Many of our students will attend State College of Florida. Last year, the SCF Foundation awarded $1.6 million to 1,100 SCF students. The application is online and due March 20th. Students must apply to SCF and obtain a student ID number before they can apply. The Selby Foundation is another excellent opportunity for students with financial need. Selby awards 40 scholarships for up to $7,000 each year for 4 years. The Auxiliary of Doctors Hospital awards many scholarships to students with financial need that are planning a health career. There are many more local scholarship opportunities. We encourage VHS seniors to make an appointment to visit Rotary Futures to use our scholarship database program. For Sarasota County students who are not able to visit us, we encourage them to use the Education Foundation of Sarasota County's website, launchyourplan.com. The Education Foundation has funded resource centers like Rotary Futures at Northport, Riverview, and Sarasota high schools. We highly recommend students at those schools visit their student success centers. The Education Foundation has also opened Launchpad for You, which is a resource center in downtown Sarasota. This center has a college and career advisor available to all students in Sarasota County. The Education Foundation is also responsible for collecting local scholarship information, and they share this information with every high school. They also have created a database of scholarships on the Education Foundation website. This is the same local scholarship information that is in our database. Keep in mind that the Launch Your Plan scholarship database is constantly being updated, and the same is true for our database. All scholarship groups have not set their deadlines yet, especially the ones that are due in the spring. You will need to keep checking the scholarship database for updated information. Launch Your Plan has many other resources that students can use to assist with post-secondary planning, including FAFSA information and videos too. Again, please visit the website listed on this slide. On Thursday, October 28th, Rotary Futures will host a free FAFSA Help Night. Please come and bring along all of the items listed on the above handout. We would love to help you complete your FAFSA successfully. Parents, we understand this is a stressful time. We are confident we can help seniors through the financial aid and scholarship process. We are open from Tuesday to Friday from 7:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. We are closed on Mondays and we are closed on all school holidays. Please feel free to call or email us and encourage your senior to visit us during the school day. We are available to answer any questions you might have.